Okay, thank you for attending, everyone. And before we start, prior to, we were here this afternoon and we were in camera, so the first thing we're going to do is come out of camera, and I will ask for the resolution to come out of camera, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Resolved that as per section 152.4 of the Municipal Act, Council of the Rural Municipality of St. Clements does now resume sitting of regular meeting.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Strang, Councillor Horvath seconds. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I'll call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. The next thing I would like to do is I would like to ask you all to either silence your phones or turn them off. I just heard one beeping, so if we could do that, that would be great. And I know there are a lot of people in the building, and if anybody out in the hallway cannot hear, please just give me a wave and we'll try and speak up. And when we start here, I'm going to ask to move into the conditional use, and then we have some readings that we'll have to do. You do? You want them done? Okay. Okay, before we start this evening, I would like to welcome everyone here this evening for our regular planning meeting. There are a few housekeeping rules that I'd like to review before we start. There are numerous people here, as we can all see, who wish to present this evening, and due to the numbers, we will need to limit the allotted time to each speaker. Approximately 5 minutes. We're not going to hold you to it, but as close to that as you can would be very much appreciated, because if every one of you wants to speak, we will be here another day. As I call individuals, please state your name and address, and that is your civic address, not your mailing address. And I would ask that if any presenter before you has stated the same concerns or issues you have, if you could state same as previous presenter, we will move on to the next presenter. I also want you to know that if you have submitted your comments in writing, council has reviewed all of these comments, and if you plan to read those comments again, I would ask you keep it to minimum amount of time, as there are a significant number of written submissions which council has reviewed. And you can also choose to say your written submission represents your comments. Lastly, and this to me is very important, I ask that everyone be respectful of council, administration, the planners, and each other. If need be, I will stop the meeting until everyone can be respectful. Thank you very much for your attention, and I would now ask to move into our conditional use board.
Before we go into the conditional use, if Kayla, if you could read yours.
Sure.
And what I'll do is I'll just get everything started here.
Good evening, everyone. Similar to what Mayor Debbie had just said, just a few words as well. Council wishes to thank you for taking an interest in what is happening in your municipality by attending this evening. The purpose of these public hearings is to receive representations from the applicant and any person who wish to make them concerning what is proposed. We will hear first from the applicant, then from those present who wish to make representation, starting with anyone who wants to speak in favor of the proposal, followed by those who are opposed to or object to the proposal. At the end of these other presentations, the applicant will have an opportunity to respond. If anyone intends to make a presentation for any of the hearings scheduled for this evening, please record your name and contact information on the appropriate sign-in sheets, as you saw. Applicants must also sign in, please. If you haven't signed in, please do so now so that you may have the opportunity to speak. At the end of each presentation, the members of council may ask for clarification from the speaker on any fact or issue, but not enter into a debate. Persons speaking must address the chair. If they have questions that they think the applicant should answer, they should raise them in their presentation to the chair. The applicant will then have the opportunity to respond to questions when the other presentations are finished. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Kayla.
So, Madam Mayor, I'm just going to start the recording of our Zoom meeting as well.
Thank you.
There's two
Recording in
people.
progress.
Okay, bring up the conditional use.
Please.
Resolved that the regular meeting be adjourned and the public hearing be open for conditional use 6 of 2024.
Can I have a mover, please? Counselor Bezarowicz, second. Counselor Strang. Any further discussion on opening up the conditional use hearing? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? Carried. I will now turn it over to our planner to walk us through the planning comments and their report from the RRPD.
Thank you, Mayor. This is conditional use number 6 of 2024. It's for a property located along Ashfield Road. Specifically, the applicant is asking to allow for a recreational commercial use on the subject property, which is within the agriculture restricted zone. They would like to do a paintball facility. The zoning bylaw outlines or defines actually that a recreational commercial use is a privately owned recreational building or facilities such as, but not limited to, campgrounds, golf courses, driving ranges, water parks, gun clubs, amusement parks, museums, theaters, marinas, tent and trailer parks, and may also include associated gift shop, food and beverage facilities. So the proposed use does fit within this definition. Specifically, the applicants outlined in their letter of intent that they'd like to do indoor and outdoor paintball, airsoft, and gel blaster gaming, have an associated pro shop and sporting facilities. There would be a 6,000 square foot building that would be placed on the property, which would have things like the washroom, staging area, offices, registration, that sort of thing. The applicant did also include some items or some future plans, but that would have to come back at a future date under another application. Here's the subject property outlined in black with the arrow there. The red lines on there are just the highway control zone, which is pretty standard buffer area within along highways. And here is the applicant's site plan that they've provided with the application, outlining the gaming area and where there would be some picnic areas, parking, and a new building. So when our office looks at applications like this, we look at both the zoning and the designations in the master plan or the development plan. And the development plan designation for this property is agriculture restricted. When we look at the policies in that section, it does outline that commercial uses or industrial uses that are not related to agriculture activities are not permitted in the agriculture restricted zone. I should note that the development plan was adopted in 2020, and the zoning bylaw is some years older than that. So the zoning bylaw hasn't quite caught up to the development plan policies. Should council wish to approve this, there are 4 recommended conditions of approval. One is that this would be limited to what is being proposed here. Any changes would require a new conditional use application, so any intensity, increasing intensity of the operation would have to come back to council. The applicant owner obtains all required permits from both our office as well as the municipality. The applicant owner obtains a business license from the municipality, as well as the applicant owner submits a drainage plan to the municipality for review and acceptance. That's all I have on this brief presentation. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Derek. Any questions from members of council to the planner? Okay, I'm not seeing any hands go up, so we will move on. And the first person I'm going to call is the applicant for this conditional use. If you have anything that you want to present to council, this would be the time.
Yep, I'd like to see.
Thank you.
So greetings, Mayor, Council, Administration. My name is Sean. I and my wife Teresa own and operate the business in question, Paintball Paradise. I'm here today because I believe this Ashfield Road site is perfectly suited to my business. And should you vote to approve this application, we will be a net benefit to your community. In preparation for this hearing, I have engaged a professional sound study. This testing company did a comparative analysis of our operations currently and the impact we would have should we move to the Ashfield site. That report has been submitted for your scrutiny and suggests that even the closest neighbors should not fear noise from our operations. I regret that this information was not available when we first applied to the planning board but waiting for temperatures that are consistently above 0 degrees Celsius is required for the accuracy of testing equipment. A particular challenge we face, as you are probably aware, is appropriate zoning for our type of operation. While the planner is correct in his reading of the development plan, it is a document written by a department established at the behest of the member communities. Our application falls within the allowable conditional uses defined in your own zoning bylaws. The development plan does not preclude the ability of this council to approve this application, as the planner has acknowledged. I see numerous established businesses in nearby properties along Highway 59. Lakeway Marine, L&L Sawmill, a crane rental establishment, an auto dealer, and a tree moving and nursery operation directly across 59 from us. In close proximity, along Highway 44, we have the Esso station and a doggy daycare operation. Across the street on Ashfield, there is a community rink. A simple Google Maps search also shows several property owners in the immediate vicinity operating contracting businesses from the properties. The properties immediately to the north and immediately south across Highway 44 from our proposed site went through a rezoning at one point to arrive at the current commercial highway commercial zoning that they have. A zoning that would allow for far more disruptive uses than we are proposing without need for any public hearing or public consultation at all. In short, we've seen there is a trend towards the expansion of business uses along the highway fronting properties, and our use seems to fit within that trend. You will see in the proposed site plan that we'll be orientating the development as to locate the playing areas as far as possible from neighboring properties. A generous tree row will be established along Ashfield Road, giving a visual buffer to the neighboring properties. Also demonstrating our commitment to the community in the long term. As a unique entertainment venue, ours is a destination that brings new people into the community where they will spend money at other local businesses, help to spur the local economy. We will also offer employment for locals, which I've been told time and again is sorely lacking in the community. I've also recently learned that local youth have been actively trying to garner support for our proposal. Being a business that has welcomed players as young as 7 for decades as a place to go for wind-ups and birthday parties, it heartens me to know that they are excited to see an easily accessible and local recreation option. Now, I've spoken with the owners of the commercial property to the north. They are not against our application, as are the residential property owners to the north as well, who also have to be defenders in this case. I've also had numerous unsolicited private communications from community members who support this project. Also, a Change.org support petition that's been circulated online for less than 24 hours has over 310 signatures at the time I wrote this speech. I'm aware there are a minority in the community, most all living outside the area of the proposed site, who would see us deny this application. And I wholeheartedly respect their rights to voice their concerns and thank them for participating in this process. Unfortunately, though, I have learned that some people approached to sign a petition to deny our application were given perhaps uninformed information about what my business does and whom our customers are. I have not been contacted for any clarification or any further information by opposing parties. It is my chance tonight to try to clarify some of those issues. Given some of the concerns raised in the letters of opposition, I'd like to take a brief moment to explain what we do not do. We do not allow alcohol on our site. It is incompatible with the safe play and violates the terms of our insurance. We do not have people revving their engines, doing burnouts in the parking lot. Most are dropping off or picking up their kids. Our patrons are not coming to a racetrack. They are normal everyday drivers who will not be going miles other way to harass residents by speeding down country roads. Remember, 90% of them have kids to get home. We do not create noise for our neighbors. Paintball marking guns are safe for the ears, require no hearing protection, and the sound of games, as shown by the professional sound analysis we've submitted, is only slightly above ambient levels when in close proximity to the playing area. At distance, even the closest residents will likely not even know when a paintball game is happening. We do run a safe, clean facility with the utmost respect for our guests, the community in which we operate. Over 40 years in business is not by chance, but because we actively work to maintain a higher standard of safety, cleanliness, and experience for our customers. We have never received a complaint from our current neighbors and happily support events within the communities we operate. Now, in fairness, some have criticized our current playing areas as unsightly, which is a subjective statement at best. For example, there might be those who describe the sawmill in 59 as a beautiful thing. But to this, I'd like to lend a little context. We are currently on leased property. This has impaired our ability to invest in the type of playfield structures that would only be financially viable on owned land. I have also reduced spending on beautifying playing structures in the current location to save the vast amount of money that will be needed for this relocation. To put it simply, would you change the siding on your old house only to demolish it shortly thereafter? Or would you invest in making your new house the most beautiful it can be? This new site will be the pinnacle of my 30-plus years in this industry and substantial investment in the community. I've looked at countless properties in several municipalities over the years, yet the criteria of what makes a location suitable for our needs is extremely elusive. A combination of size and price, distance to the Winnipeg market, and ease of access is difficult enough to find. Add to this a vendor willing to accept a lengthy offer period and the condition that the sale hinges upon approval by the proper authorities, it is practically impossible to get an offer to this stage. However, in seeking your approval, I must ask that the entire scope of our development be considered as part of this approval. I'm unable to offer a definitive timeline for the addition to the building we have proposed in our application. This is due to the early stage of costing such a project. Given the large infrastructure investment that will be made, and the addition wouldn't represent any appreciable change in the nature of our operations, it is too great a financial risk to go through this process again. I ask the same inclusion for the future additional activities in sports field areas as well. They are without a doubt less impactful than our core business. Now, in closing, I would also like to read a letter I received literally as I was leaving to come here from one of the local residents. He asked that I read it before council today. Dear St. Clement Municipality Council, I'm writing to express my wholehearted support for the proposed establishment of Paintball Paradise in our neighborhood. As a resident deeply invested in the community's growth and well-being, I believe that Paintball Paradise represents not just a business, but a valuable community asset that aligns with the spirit and values of our area. The owner of Paintball Paradise has a track record of responsible business practices and a commitment to quality that is commendable. The introduction of such small business offers a constructive outlet for our youth, encouraging them to engage in teamwork and strategy rather than falling prey to less desirable activities that are far more disruptive to peace and quiet of our area. It also presents a much needed opportunity for local youth employment, which is vital for the economic health of our community. In contrast to the prospect of large industrial entities, such as the chemical plant near Pine Ridge Mobile Home Park, Paintball Paradise offers a more harmonious fit with our community's character. It supports our local economy without the risk of overshadowing our small town charm or imposing on our environment. I trust that the council will recognize the potential benefits that Paintball Paradise brings to St. Clement and will support its integration into our community. It is enterprises like these that foster a vibrant, engaged, and economically diverse municipality. Thank you for considering my views on this matter. Sincerely, Nicholas Kolisnik, 72096 Ashfield Road South.
Okay, thank you for that.
I'm open for any questions.
His kids are racing.
Okay, I'm going to open it up for questions from council to the applicant, please. Anything at this point? Oh, go ahead, Councillor Spicer, sorry.
I have a number.
You get
Let's start off with, can you explain what airsoft and gel blaster is, what that is?
Absolutely. They would be complementary to the paintball operation. Airsoft is a different type of tag sport, for lack of a better word. They use small biodegradable plastic BBs. The guns are battery powered, similar to like a spring-loaded Nerf gun. They are much less in terms of dual impact and extremely quiet. Gel blaster is an even lower impact version of that. It uses those, I don't know if you're familiar with Orbeez, the little water beads that you can put in and hydrate, and you blast them through a little, basically toilet gun. So they're complementary things that are far less impactful to as far as noise and what have you as paintball.
So barrier netting would go all the way around what you're considering the gaming area?
Definitely along the areas facing Ashfield, obviously parking, picnic table areas, green space is more than wide enough to provide a just natural buffer. Obviously development as we build out fields coming south towards the corner of the loop there, then they'll go up there as well. But there is a finite amount of range that a paintball gun has, and it will be some time before we'll be anywhere approaching upon that limit.
And the tree row that you're planning there, can you comment on, like, are you planting trees this tall, or are you buying larger trees to put them in that?
I mean, I would obviously prefer to buy larger trees. There are faster growing varietals out there, some that can grow as much as 3 feet in a single season. So the faster growing varieties are what I kind of had my eye on. Of course, I have yet to, get a proper soil in the house to see what's going to best establish there. But, that tree row is intended to be pretty deep, minimum 50 feet, and we're also talking about fencing on the inner side or my side to, again, provide not only security, but also a little bit of sound dampening, which of course shouldn't be a concern given the reports we do see from the sound stuff.
Continue.
Go ahead. I don't see any other hands going up, so go ahead.
Your letter doesn't talk about anything about when you're open and when you're not open. So what kind of open hours are you looking at?
Well, I mean, this new site won't allow me to operate the same hours that I do at my current facility. I would say daylight hours. Should council be amenable to it, I would prefer to stay open until no later than 10 p.m. But daylight hours.
Do you have any idea what the capacity, the number of people will be there at any given time? Once you're up and running?
Yeah, well, I can't see capacity growing anything beyond where we are currently. Honestly, I'm cramped for space there. I'm just looking forward to having a little bit more room for people. Maximum capacity on site at any one time, we have maybe 80 people. And remember, this is over a large area. The actual number of people per square unit of space is minuscule.
Okay, I hear some rumblings in the crowd there. That was 80 people, you said?
He asked what my maximum capacity
Yes,
might be.
yeah. And is it 80?
At any one point in time, to be an absolute maximum, maybe for a couple sustained hours, the busiest point of the day, busiest day of the year.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Almost.
That's fine.
Do people rent all the equipment there, or are they allowed to bring their own equipment?
Certainly people can bring their own equipment. I would say 99% of our customer base is from people who rent the equipment from us.
Have you thought anything about possibly what your security measures would be?
Controlled access gate, fencing, cameras.
Okay. That's it for now, thank you.
That's it for now. Okay, go ahead, Councillor Bazarowicz.
How many employees does it take to run this place?
I currently have 6 employees.
6.
2 full-time, 4 part-time.
So are you one of the full-time? Or
I try to avoid it as much as humanly possible. It's hard to run your operation if you're mired in it.
Right now, thanks.
Thank you. Anything else from council? Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
You mentioned about the sound in relation to the everyday, say, traffic that goes by on Highway 59. How would the paint gun, and I'm just thinking also after you said about people bringing their own, but what would the relation to, say, vehicles going by, like as sound?
Well, given the information I just received from the professional in that field, it seems marginal. At the current site, doing comparatives, we are seeing maybe a 1 to 2 decibel increase over background noise, with the reading being taken within 15 meters of the edge of the middle of the playing field, so the edge of the most active part. So it's negligible at best. The background readings we were getting from the highway, he said at the northeast corner of this property, were somewhere in the neighborhood of 60 decibels. So we're getting, at my current site, max reading was 70 decibels at the start of one game. Now you remember that sound does attenuate through air, and for every doubling of the distance, there's roughly a 6 decibel decrease in that decibel reading. So if we were to take the active gaming area at this location, and just with no obstructions, pure line of sight, perfectly calm day, at a 6 decibel attenuation for every doubling of distance, the nearest neighbor should get a maybe 40 decibels at their place. Now remember, there will be a tree row, there will be a building, right? There will be multiple obstructions.
Will there be obstruction around where the red line is also?
Well, being that that's the highway side, I'm sure that the highway has proven, if you are right beside, to be louder than the paintball guns. So I don't see the value in that. If it's something that is required, I mean, it can be discussed.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Councillor Horbis.
When you mentioned fencing and a gate to come in, will that be just for the area where you'll you set up, or will this be for the whole property?
So eventually the whole property will be with a 12-foot high net, which is essentially a fence. The gate would be along the controlled access part of Ashfield, so basically along from where A&P Plumbing is with their commercial, and down past where our parking is.
So you have a gate that you come in, and then that area would be fenced around the gaming area, the netting, is that how it works? Because once you get in the gate, you could be running all around, all over the place, right?
Well, yeah, so the gaming area will be netted off from the non-gaming areas.
And when you say fence, later or now, when you're gonna be fencing the area, is that gonna be an 8-foot fence? What was that, a chain link, or what kind of fence would that be?
Well, I mean, Stan, again, this is, I have not costed out the differences, but I mean, we could be talking chain link, we could be talking a wooden fence along the Ashfield Road run. Around the rest of the gaming facility is a 12-foot high net. So it's a barrier that contains the paintballs, it also has some wind protection.
So on Ashfield, you could put a wooden fence along there to
Yes,
obstruct,
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, thank you.
No problem.
Anything else from council at this point in time? Go ahead, Councillor Sutherland.
So your access would only be off Ashfield Road, I take it?
That's correct, and I'd like the access off Ashfield to be about halfway down the property so that we are away from any residential or competing access points.
And your parking, how much of your, are you allowed parking?
Yeah, the yellow area is allowed parking. We figure we probably need maybe a maximum of 100 sites just to satisfy the size of building versus the bylaws.
Go ahead, Councillor Strang.
Another question, so where you'll be purchasing this, those buildings that are there, is that part of the,
Yeah, so if you look at the white box there, there's the half that's shaded, half isn't. The solid white half, or portion there would be the 6,000 square foot initial construction. The remainder would be the 18 that I would like to add for the indoor playing area. And yeah, that'll be where customers will come in to register, they will purchase their packages. We will have our offices in there as well, and then the associated washrooms and supporting facilities.
There's 2 buildings on site there now, isn't there?
That's right. I mean, the site we were on was built in.
For storage, they were used for storage before, boats and?
Yeah, that site has been a number of things over the years. I think it was originally a grain silo, it has been Anco Lumber, it was Power Town, which was a ATV dealership, and I think at one point there was also a plastics extrusion. So that site is, yeah, it was old.
Okay, if there's nothing else from members of council, thank you very much for your presentation. And once we hear from all the people that are going to speak this evening, you will have an opportunity to answer any questions or any comment at the end of all the presentations.
Excellent.
Thank
Thank you for
you.
your time.
Okay, I have a number of people on my list. I do have some here that are letters of support, and I don't know if any of these people are in the audience, but I am going to read these names. Of course, we do have the noise report from the air testing people, and we have the environmental report from McGreevy. There's a letter of support from Canatech Consultants. Is anybody here from Canatech to speak on this application? There's a letter of support from Kolisnik. Anybody here to speak to that? And a letter of support from Horvath. Okay, council does have all these copies, and there are a number of letters of opposition. I am not going to read them all, but I do have a list of a number of names here of people who wish to speak. And I will start with the first one on my list here. And if you haven't signed or I haven't called your name at the end of all the presentations, I will give anybody in the audience an opportunity to speak if I have not called your name. So I will start with Jane Senu. Oh, okay, sorry. I have to ask you, I have to back up here for a minute because I understand that I made an error and I should have asked if there was anybody in the audience who wanted to speak that didn't register or send in an application or a letter of support. So is there anybody in the audience? Do you want to come forward and state your name for the record, please?
I may be the only one in this room, but Doug Ashton, I'm here with my wife Patty Ashton. We live at 72120 Ashfield Road, south. We're the first property, this is pertinent, we are the first property south of the proposed site that actually has a house on it. If you come straight south from the hockey rink that's already there, for example, you cross a hayfield, which belongs to a farmer that's been there long established. We're the first property after that hayfield. So there's no bush, there's no trees blocking us to the site. And from the Ashfield Road south side, we're probably the closest house on that long southern stretch, notwithstanding the ones that are on the highways siding road. I personally played paintball across Saskatchewan, a couple in Saskatchewan, in the Winnipeg site, and in the petitioner's site as well, 3 or 4 games in his site as well. I don't want the fact that I'm a retired police officer to lend credibility to it. What I'm trying to establish is that I have some expertise in terms of I'm a firearms instructor. I know a well-run range when I see one. I've instructed firearms for probably 30 years and continue to do so. I did this morning as well. And this is a well-run establishment. When we were there, the weapons were well, they're not even weapons, honestly. They're not considered firearms at all. They're certainly not in the same realm as volume. You don't need hearing protection. I concur with that. I played it myself several times. Their rules are very strict, and they do indeed, I concur, that he runs a very good business in that respect. The rules are very strict. The clientele that we've seen there were ourselves. We went there once with a birthday party full of kids, and another time with a hockey team wind-up. And that was the clientele that we saw there consistently. There was our group and one other group, pretty much both times that we've been there. So although I heard the maximum was 80 people, I don't think it's inconceivable that an average people that I've seen there, an average population I've seen there, would have been in the 20 to 40 range, rather than the 80 range. The traffic going in and out was minivans, full of kids, station wagons, cars with kids in them, children in them. I've never once seen anybody spinning tires or ripping and tearing in these places. The noise as far as in there, the paintball markers themselves, my son actually looked it up and checked on decibel ratings. And you have a report, I understand, is probably much more thorough. But within 3 minutes of being on the internet, we found that after 300 feet, the paintball noise turned to ambient noise. And I would concur with my personal experience on that from paintballing several times. No hearing protection was necessary. There's a snowmobile route flanking both sides of 44 and 59, and if you don't wear a helmet and hearing protection, your ears are ringing for days after riding a snowmobile all day. That is not the case with paintball. It's not even in that realm. It's excellent exercise. The boys and I went, they were popping up and down like crickets, running around, shoot dad, shoot dad, shoot dad. I pulled a few tactics, and that was my mistake. But they ganged up on me. And the point is, it's every bit as much a family-oriented activity as would be the outdoor rink there. Any other activity outdoors. Playing soccer, playing baseball with your kids. I play hockey with my kids growing up, and it's every bit as much a family-oriented affair. We're hoping that employment opportunities would present themselves for some kids. Not small kids, obviously, but I'm sure the concession, there'll be some people in their high school years, hopefully, that are in there. My son had to go all the way to Lockport, which meant I had to drive him to get his first job in Lockport, and Birdshill Park was the other one. So there's virtually nothing in this area short of Dawn Zesso there, Sports and Zesso, and they usually hire adults, and I can respect that. There's money in their cigarettes and whatnot. So there's precious few, if any, employment opportunities. I'm hoping that this business is strong enough to help take some of the tax burden off the residents there. There being only one business in the neighborhood, that means there's only one business chipping in and helping all of us pay our taxes and look after the roads and whatnot. Patty, have I forgotten anything? Am I allowed to ask my wife? Sure. Have I forgotten anything? 5 minutes is up. The noise, the traffic as far as vehicles. We do hear the hum of the highway from our place. It's just across the new development and across the Cloverleaf, we're right there. And quite honestly, that noise is just the distant hum in the background. If I'm sitting having an umbrella drink on the back deck, we might hear it. It's certainly not annoying because we just tune it out. If we chose to let Jake brakes and cars accelerating hard on the overpass coming off the corner. If we chose to let that bother us, it would bother us. But it's gone. And the games in the paintball, they are fast and furious for a few minutes and then it dies down. And it's still just pop, pop, pop. And after very little distance, it's almost negligible.
Anything else?
Oh, I'm sure, but I'll remember not to drive home. So.
Well, thank you very much.
I mean no offense to everybody in here that probably signs the petition and whatnot, but I've played the game many times with my children, and it's not evil. It's not guns, it's not firearms by the Criminal Code of Canada, it's not that. I heard the security question. It's important to be secure in your own equipment, your own tools and mechanic shop, but these aren't firearms by the definition. They're not, they're too slow a speech, and they're not even in the same ballpark for noise. I really dealt with it here in our place, and we're probably one of the closer ones too.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Okay, before I make another error, I'm going to ask if there is anybody else in the building or in the hallway or in the room here that wishes to speak for the application. Come forward and please state your name for the record.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Council, Administration. My name is Teresa Thompson. I'm Sean Thompson's wife and co-owner of Paintball Paradise. Leading up to today, we've been reading and hearing opinions in support and in opposition. And after reflection, I would like to touch on 3 areas. One is perceptions, one is environment, and the other is community. Before I met Sean, which was 21 years ago, I had no idea that paintball was a real sport. I believed that it was warmongering. I believe there was constant noise from guns and screaming from would-be warriors. I thought it was dirty, and I thought, frankly, that the people that played it were disrespectful jerks. I also had 0 actual experience with paintball at that time. Those perceptions, of course, have matured along with my experience. Because a sport is played with a paintball gun does not make it warmongering. Whether it's Nerf archery or Nerf guns, or laser tag, or water balloons, or water guns, or paintballs, the game remains tag. And if you throw in a cloth, you have captured the flag. Our staff do not hand a paintball gun and a mask to people and say good luck. You are hosted, reffed, and protected. They are responsible for their patrons, and they are responsible to their facility, the land, and the neighbors. Health and safety at our facility is number 1. As you can imagine, our insurance is needfully strict. The fact is, we are seasoned professionals who know what we're doing. We do it well, and we've been doing it for a very long time. I have found the exact same attributes that belong to any other team sport in paintball. Camaraderie, sportsmanship, mentoring, first jobs, lifelong friends. It is outdoor exercise with friends and family. It's birthday celebrations and corporate events. It is not hosting Mad Max-style raiding parties. It is safer and less violent than many other sports. Paintball is no more extreme than skateboarding. We don't refer to football or rugby as combat sports, and yet they are far more combative. Paintball guns are quieter and safer than perceptions often dictate, and the same can be said for those that play the game too. With regards to environment, we take any and every impact we have on our environment very seriously, and we take any impact to wildlife to heart. Our current location was established in that space in 1993. And I'm happy to say that after all these years, all matter of wildlife remains established there as well. From songbirds to raptors, bats, all kinds of rodents, deer, coyotes, rabbits, foxes, etc. We have been at facilities across Canada and the United States. We can report the same thing there as well. A paintball facility has significantly less environmental impact than farming and agriculture. I would say that we share many of the same concerns as those in this community when it comes to impact. specifically environmental. We have firsthand knowledge, experience, and expertise on how paintball and wildlife coexist. We are not guessing, we are not speculating. The fact is, paintball belongs out here. Paintball was, in fact, created on ranch land in the 80s. And across Canada, fields and operations continue to exist as good neighbors to both agricultural and residential land. I understand why folks have misconceptions because I used to have them myself. The fact is, paintball has always been and will continue to thrive as a rural sport. Having spoken to perceptions and environment, I'd like to address the topic of community. It is clear by folks here tonight, as well as those who have voiced support or opposition prior, that St. Clements is a strongly community-minded community. Paintball Paradise is too. Of course, we know paintball to be a social activity played by families. I've seen multiple generations enjoying their time at the facility frequently. It's where groups come to celebrate and team build. As well, Sean often runs camps and games for kids who might need more mentorship than others. He's done charity events and worked with Winnipeg Harvest, Svet's Pets, which help get service dogs for first responders and veterans, animal rescues, including Darcy's Ark, charity games with Blue Bombers, Manitoba Theatre for Young People, the Winnipeg Fringe Festival, demos and target ranges at West St. Paul Kennedy events, and hosting the local fire department's annual paintball game. Not to mention, we donate to over 200 socials a year and more to sports teams and other fundraisers. Sean is someone who actively looks out for his neighbors. I see zero reason why this community wouldn't want Paintball Paradise as a neighbor, save for misconceptions, which I hope we are able to start mending tonight. Of course, I don't agree with all the comments in opposition, at least the ones that we've seen and heard to date. But I understand that most have come from folks who haven't experienced paintball or had us as neighbors yet. Even still, in everyone's comments, I see passion to preserve this amazing community. That community passion is why we want to be a part of it. It's why we know we're a good fit, because we are passionate about building up community. Paintball Paradise has been around since 1983. It is a Manitoban institution and one that St. Clements can be proud of. We know we're right for this community. I so respect folks using their voices to further what they believe and to listen and to change minds, because change is scary and so are assumptions. Paintball is a rural sport and we believe we belong in St. Clements. I understand there's concern that Paintball Paradise would impact or change this community. I can promise this council that it would, absolutely, and for the better. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, is there anyone else in the building or in the audience that wishes to speak in support of this application? I'm not seeing anybody move out in the hallway or in this council chamber, so I will now go to my list of names that I have here, and most of these people are in the audience. I think we have one person on Zoom, which will be a little bit later if they are on Zoom. So I will start with Jane Senyu, and I think I called your name before. And I have a note here that you are speaking on behalf of other members present also.
That's correct, Mayor.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, council members. My name is Jane Senyu. I live in Darcy, Manitoba, and I have been asked to speak on behalf of the Ashfield Community Seniors. It's in regards to conditional use file 6/2024, the Ashfield Road paintball facility proposal. The following contains a response to the above named conditional use document as an objection to such an activity in the area described, being addressed from the observation of the senior residents of the area commonly referred to as Ashfield Community. There are many seniors living in the immediate and surrounding areas that would not benefit from such an activity or facility, nor would it be conducive to their well-being, be it mentally, emotionally, nor physically. Such an activity is not conducive to a quality of life nor quality of neighborhoods. The Safe Communities and Neighborhoods Act, which is administered through the Minister of Justice of the province of Manitoba, clearly states it holds property owners accountable for threatening or disturbing activities that takes place on their property. Should seniors, or anyone for that matter, be tasked with dealing with any added stress should they need to, if they are to maintain some decorum of quality of life and safety. With added stress comes physical issues that can lead to more burden on local facilities, of which no one, especially seniors, want to contribute to. Any endeavor must demonstrate a commitment to social and environmental sustainability and work to mitigate or eliminate any harmful impact in that area. The area in question has a number of families that can trace their occupation of the land to 3 and 4 generations back. All that land has been used in agricultural endeavors for over 80 years. They've all contributed to a finely woven fabric of that community, which in turn has attracted new residents and also added to that fabric of mutual understanding, peaceful and safe living, mutual aid in times of need. Many seniors have also carefully planned their living or aging in place in that community. To introduce an activity that promotes a violent activity with warlike games does not fit into that community. In addition, many of the residents in that said area are ancestral connections to the Ukraine and have witnessed the demoralizing activities for over 2 years of the invasion and the war scenes. Any added activity that promotes violence and warlike games would very likely add to the already feelings of loss. There's also been a great influx of refugees from many war-torn parts of the world into Manitoba. And if they should find themselves moving into this area or region, or traveling to the beaches or other points of the municipality for activities, the sight of such an activity would be reminiscent of what they fled, frightening and disconcerting at the very least. At this point, compassion and peace is the order of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Okay, I'm going to move right along here, seeing as we do have quite a number of people that do want to speak. The next name I have on my list is Rod Peeler.
Can I go later after some other people? My point will be better made. No? Oh.
I would prefer you did it now and
All right.
I think the way my list is the way when people called in that they wanted to speak is how you called in is how you got on the list. So.
Well, thank you for having me. Just want to let you know why I'm here.
Can you please state your name and civic address for the record, please?
Rod Peeler, 35 Chancery Bay.
Thank you.
Okay. Right?
No, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So the reason I'm here is I'm a realtor, and I have been a realtor for over 40 years in Winnipeg and the surrounding areas. And I have a client whose parents live across the street from the proposed development. And they phoned me on his behalf, and they asked me a simple question. And the question simply was, Rod, if this development goes on and this proposal is successful, will this have an effect on the value of our property? And I thought about it for a minute, and I said, well, what development is it going to be? Well, it's Paintball Paradise. I have no prejudice or anything against a company called Paintball Paradise. I know nothing about it, to tell you the truth. Or any other entertainment company. But basically I said, yes, Ashfield Road, as far as I know, is not a service road. It's a regular street in a rural area that is not that wide. And if you have an entertainment business across the street from you, almost across, it's not quite across, it's their property is right across there. It's the one across the street. And I just said, yeah, your property value is going to go down. And I further thought about that, and I said, not only will your property value likely go down, I can't prove this, by the way, it's experience talking. Some of the other properties that are on the other side and that side that have the future that I understand to be developed into, I think the municipality has said they could be 5-acre agricultural lots. They could have a house on it, maybe a building or whatever. They would be affected as well because the people selling those lots probably wouldn't get as much money for them as they could if this business wasn't going to be there. So that's my theory on whether the value would go down. Further to that, I didn't want to just trust myself. I involved 5 or 6 of my colleagues, and yes, I know them all, and yes, they've all been in the business for a long time. First one I called was just a client of mine who's bought several houses, and I asked him, I said, if there was a paintball paradise business going right across your street, or any other entertainment right across the street, like go-karts or whatever, would you entertain buying that property? And the gentleman said, no. And I said, why? He says, the noise, the traffic, and again, we don't know about the noise. We suspect about the traffic would be more. My buyers over the years, and I think if you look at the multiple listings that come out from all the different agents, have always looked at this area as being peaceful and tranquil. Why do people want to come out to the country? Well, they want to get away from the city. They want peace and quiet. They don't want to be bothered with traffic, and they'd like to have their own piece of private land without a lot of commercial activity going on. If they wanted that, they'd stay in the city. So likely what would happen if a property came up on the market, somebody would phone me and say, Rod, what is your property? And I'd tell them about that. But then I would say there's a business going right across the street, and the business is X. And there's going to be non-tranquility, there's going to be activity, there's going to be cars, there's going to be peeping horns, there's going to be whatever. He said, well, I wouldn't be interested. I asked an appraiser, that's been in the business for 35 years. An appraiser is not a realtor, they're paid to know what they're doing, and I asked the question whether the value of a property near a business like that, right across the street, would be devalued. He said, absolutely. He said, I would have to protect the bank, and I'd have to make sure that location is right. I could go on about that, so not just my opinion. So I look at this street. It's not a service street. It's a regular street. And if you walk across the street, you could throw a stone and you're across the street.
Yeah.
So I thought,
I'm gonna
I know,
just
but the other people
yeah.
have more time.
The applicant always has.
Okay, I'll make my point.
Yes, please.
I happened just to think about the traffic that was going to happen here. And last Saturday at 2 o'clock, or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, I went to the existing site. And I counted 2 cars coming out. The lot was packed. Packed. You couldn't move in it. I couldn't turn around and there was 2 cars coming in. So I know the extra traffic is going to be more than just normal. Plus, when the lots sell at a lower price, if this goes through, there will be more traffic on the street as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's without prejudice. I have nothing to gain.
Okay, thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm just going to again state that I would really appreciate if everybody could keep it to about that 5 minutes, and I will try and do the same thing for the upcoming. The applicant does have additional time because they have a lot of points that they want to get through. If you are speaking and you have sent us a letter with your concerns, we do have all of those. We have a list of those that want to speak, and we also have a list of all the letters of opposition. So if we want to get out of here at a relatively decent time, I'm going to ask if we could please try and stick to that 5-minute mark. So I will ask the next people on my list. I have Linda and Dale Wojtowicz, Carrie Pearson, and Roxanne Basilin. I don't know if one wants to speak or...
I'll speak for all.
You'll speak for all?
Yeah.
And if you could just state your name and your civic address for the record,
Yep.
please.
Thank you for having me. My name is Roxanne Bizayo, and I live at 72069 Asheville Road South. We live together as a family. Our parents have a beautiful little home suite off of our house, so we get to share many time together in our front deck. Now, I do know one of the biggest concerns is the traffic. Now, I know that these lovely people are saying that it's not going to affect us. However, when we have a north wind, believe me, we can hear the traffic. We can also hear stuff that's going on clear across the road. One of my biggest concerns is there's no turning lanes. How is that going to happen? How is that going to affect people turning onto that service road, onto Ashfield Road, from an extremely busy highway, whether it's going east or whether it's going south? There's no turning lanes. The increased risk of traffic accidents on that lane, on that road, is going to increase insurmountably. How are we going, what's the municipality going to do to prevent that? And again, noise, even though they say that it's not going to be an issue, it certainly will be, and that's one of the biggest issues. That's really all I have to say. Thank you for my time.
Okay, and you're all at the 72069 Ashfield Road?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for that. Okay, the next name I have is Donna Chason.
Oh, I didn't ask to speak. I just submitted a letter.
That's fine. I had said earlier that after I have gone through everybody on my list,
Yes.
I will ask if there is anybody in the audience who wanted to speak and was not on the list, you will have an opportunity. I did say that earlier. You may not have been in the chamber at that time.
Yeah, okay.
Donna Chason?
You just talked to her. It was me.
Oh, well, then come forward if you have anything that you want to say or you don't want to speak.
I submitted
A letter?
my
Okay.
letter, yes.
Okay, and you don't really want to speak, you just want to make sure that
I
we
think
have your
I've
letter?
spoken to people who are going to be speaking here, and all of my concerns are going to be addressed.
Okay.
I really believe that. But Sean did mention putting up sound barriers, and yet he said there'd be no sound, so that's kind of a contradiction.
Okay, thank you for that, Donna. Okay, the next name I have on my list is Dietrich Fair. And just state your name and your civic address for the record, please.
730 Ashfield. My biggest concern is all the dust from the vehicles. 10,000 vehicles, going to raise a lot of dust. In 95, when I moved there, my taxes were $700 a year. The municipality dusted the road. Now they don't dust, and I took half of the trees away. So I got a lot of dust in my...
Anything else?
No.
Just the dust on, from the road?
That's-
Now, are you right on Ashfield Road, or is that part
Right
of the
at-
service
right
road?
Right at the corner. This
Okay.
one goes in, we're going to into there.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay, the next name I have is Adrian Zaborniak.
Hi, my name is Adrienne Sabornia, Lot 1, 529-806 Ashfield Road. Dear council members, as a neighboring property owner and individual who grew up in the area, I'm speaking to formally object to the conditional use application submitted by Mr. Thompson, to open a recreation, commercial, outdoor, and indoor paintball, airsoft, and gel blaster gaming facility. As you know, Highway 59 and 44 border this property. Both of these highways connect to Asheville Road. In Mr. Thompson's application, Asheville Road is listed as the main entrance route. This will increase traffic and create wear on currently quiet gravel road. There will also be an increase in travel of trucks and machinery during construction and visiting patrons afterwards. Heavy use of this gravel road will result in divots and potholes and dust that would be a hindrance to local residents and wildlife. Who would be responsible for maintaining these road conditions? An increase in traffic and greater need for municipal services will result in unnecessary wear to the road and poor air quality. Policy 4.2.8 of the development plan specifically notes that commercial and/or industrial uses that are not related to agricultural activities are not permitted in the agricultural restricted designation. Furthermore, Mr. Thompson's existing paintball facility consists of large open sites filled with walls, barricades, nets, tents, inflatable shelters, overturned barrels, decommissioned school buses, and old tractor tires. This would be an example of taking valuable agricultural land and creating an enclosed scrapyard. This devalues any nearby property. Approving this application would open a gateway for other businesses to misuse agricultural land and promote junkyards or auto salvage lots. This land use does not maintain the rural character of the municipality for the benefit and long-term interests of the agricultural sector and should be denied. Mr. Thompson's application states that the business will host children, teens, adults, along with birthday parties, team building, celebrity guest events, and movie filming opportunities. Their website calls it an adult daycare. Their social media also indicates a high level of bachelor parties and theme night events. This business can accommodate up to 200 guests and operates until 10 p.m. on weekdays and weekends. Not only will there be constant popping from the guns, but shouting from the patrons, as this is the nature of the game. This is not supportive of the quiet community living and surrounding residents that enjoy it. The ongoing noise will also have a negative and long-lasting impact to wildlife, especially with the sensitive land such as Birdsall Park located in close proximity. The proposed use of this site will not allow the main objectives of the agriculture restricted sector of the development plan and is not compatible with surrounding residential activities. This is not Mr. Thompson's first attempt to open a paintball facility in this area. The property in question is surrounded by agricultural land and homeowners who care and understand and work to maintain this friendly, quiet farming community. Opening an outdoor and indoor paintball, airsoft, and gel blaster gaming facility presents a potential for adverse effects on surface and groundwater, air quality, noise levels, and other characteristics important to the region. I believe that this type of conditional use of land will be detrimental to the safety and peaceful nature of the neighborhood, diminish the integrity of the main road, and devalue all surrounding properties. On behalf of myself and other concerned citizens of St. Clements, I ask that you seriously consider the negative impact this business will have on the land and surrounding community. I respectfully ask that you deny Mr. Thompson's conditional use application. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Okay, and I just want to remind everybody that's in the audience, if you did submit a letter, we do have all those letters in our council packages. So if you are going to read the letter that you had submitted, I would ask that you make it short, because we do have them in our meeting packages. The next name I have is Jerry Kolinchuk.
Good evening, Mayor and respected councilors. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Jerry Kolinchuk. My address, along with my sister Adrian, are lots 1 and Plan 29806. In layman terms, we are located 170 meters north of the property line of Ashfield Road from the proposed location of the Paintball Paradise. I would like to make note that I was never contacted by Mr. Thompson of Paintball Paradise of his interest to move into this part of the community, nor was any open house organized for the people directly impacted of his business. This land has been in our family for over 80 years. I inherited this property from my mom and dad. My parents were local farmers who grew potatoes and grain. This was their full-time job and livelihood. As they got closer to retirement, I can remember going out to help out in the field. I would end the evening chatting with my dad, both of us looking up at the night stars, hearing the crickets and talking about how peaceful it was. While I am not too old to farm myself, my sister and I have since kept the land in our family and have rented it out to other local farmers. Neither thought we would do directly farm this land. My sister and I do care who does farm the land. We care because we care about this community. We want people who are like-minded and share similar values of respect that existing environment and neighbors. This is the way I can be a good neighbor and best contributor to the community. I feel that this idea of an outdoor paintball facility is not conducive to a good fit of this country neighborhood. My concern of excess noise and traffic, different people routinely coming and going, stadium-style lighting, above-tree netting, and accumulation of displaced garbage will likely mirror all of those opposing here today. I have to admit that I am quite shocked to find myself here, as there was another public hearing just over a year ago for the exact same request of another property that Paintball Paradise was seeking gains of. That request was unfavorably denied for similar reasons, so now we find ourselves opposing an even closer approximation to more residential homes and the beautiful Birds Hill Park. I also find myself confused. I'm confused by Mr. Thompson's interest in this area, because Mr. Thompson was also recommended that at the last meeting, the same councilors said that they should be looking more in the industrial area of St. Clements. While I recognize that perhaps he has looked into the opinion option to no avail, he has ultimately darkened our community doorsteps again. I say darkened because this has brought a great deal of stress on myself as well as those involved in opposition with this public hearing today. Mr. Thompson speaks of the unity his location will bring for those seeking sport and participating in team building. That is true for the people patrons. However, these people get to leave at the end of the day and don't need to live in an area that will have screaming and gunfire all day and into the night. Mr. Thompson speaks of a close time of 10 o'clock. Well, this facility may close, but what will stop the patrons from continuing on with the party in the parking lot for all the people that live nearby to endure? Are the local neighbors expected to call the support when they do not want to leave? Additionally, this will have an impact on the RCMP. Mr. Thompson has spoken of further growing his business to include other activities inside or outside Paintball Paradise. Has he considered the strain of the local homeowners of the change of landscaping from calm surroundings to a much larger theme park-like setting? Mr. Thompson speaks that his business will bring unity together. However, what I have noticed or witnessed as this proceeding goes on is, yes, the community is coming together to directly oppose Pinball Paradise. I would like to comment based on further assumption, further opposition to Paintball Paradise. While Mr. Thompson speaks that he prides himself on a welcoming environment for guests and neighbors and supporting the community, I personally wonder how Mr. Thompson can, in good conscience, run his business in an area that few support him. This petition speaks volumes to this. If Mr. Thompson does in all actuality care for this particular community, he would recognize that locally everyone has told him no, and is not a good fit for this area. But Mr. Thompson not recognizing this speaks to me that Mr. Thompson does not in any way, shape, or form care about this community.
Are you getting close to the end,
Yes, I
Mr.
am.
Kolinchuk? Okay.
Back in January 24, 2023, a decision was made by the same mayor and council members that I am standing before right now to oppose Paintball Paradise from purchasing agricultural land in our municipality. I ask you again to please come forward with the same decision today. In closing, I do not welcome this uninvited change into this beautiful area of St. Clements. Therefore, oppose the request. Thank you for your time and again for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much. Can you just give me your civic address? I know you said where you are, but do you have a house or a street number where
Yes,
you
I
are?
do. 9 Legacy Terrace, Southeast Calgary, Alberta.
Okay, but the property close to the paintball area,
Is Lot 1, Plan 29806.
and there's no civic
civic
address.
address,
There's no
no.
home on that property then.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next name I have on the list is Veronica Walsh, and I see here that she is speaking on behalf of other members that are present in the audience. Veronica Walsh?
She just walked out. She just went out for a minute. There she is.
If you could just state your name and your civic address for the record, please.
Veronica Walsh. My civic address is 30059 Road 72. I realize I'm not in the immediate area, but I have been asked to speak for a number of people in the group that are present here. And I had a letter from Linda and Dale Wojtowicz, but somebody has spoken on their behalf, so we can leave this. And the other lady has decided to come forward herself. So I only have the letter of Mark Chatelain. Mr. Chatelain is opposed to the conditional use due to the following reasons. He currently farms 3 different parcels of land along Asheville Road North, and the recreational business will cause more traffic, resulting in greater safety risk when he's using his large farm machinery. The proposed business does not comply with the agricultural restricted zone, St. Clement zoning bylaw 5, 2002. The agricultural restricted zone should remain in place. It was intended for the accommodation of hobby and part-time farming operations, as well as low-density rural and non-farm residential areas. A recreational facility is contrary to the planned use of this land under the agricultural restricted zone. Thank you in advance for your attention to this matter. Regards, Mark Chatelain.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Okay, the next name I have on the list is John and Diana Irwin.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. I did want to show you a PowerPoint presentation, but I understand that you won't accept them here, and that would have had to been given to you ahead of time. However, I'm prepared to speak without it in any case.
Can I just get you to give us your civic address, please?
Yes, I live with my wife Diana and my son Alex at 72044 Ashfield Road, Sylvan.
Thank you.
Thank you for the chance to speak to you this evening. I'm here to detail our objection to this proposal and will present information in the following categories. I want to characterize the area, who lives here, although we've heard a bit of that, planning and the proposal specifically. My wife Diana, my son Alex and I moved to this area 6 years ago. We were previously living in Winnipeg, but had wanted to find something quieter with a rural feeling to get relatively close to amenities, work, a place for our dogs, and nearby to other family members. We were already somewhat familiar with the area due to having friends nearby, and when a home became available on Ashfield, we jumped at the chance to live here. Now, this part of St. Clements is labeled as Kirkness on maps, however, many of us mostly know it as the Ashfield community, as you've already heard tonight. I'm not sure of the origins of these names, but this area does have its own character in St. Clements. Ashfield and Kirkness have long had residents on them, mostly attached to agricultural elements, as you heard, but there's always been a rural residential feeling about the place. And as properties have been subdivided and newer folk moved in, this has mostly been preserved since there's been a robust plan in place for this purpose. Yes, there is a cloverleaf, 59 and 44, and it can be very busy at times, and you can hear vehicles commuting in the morning and evening and on long weekends. And you hear many RVs towing their boats and that sort of thing on a long weekend. But you know what? That always does subside. And what you're left with is quiet, peaceful evenings, weekends, and holidays. The area is also very biodiverse. It's not unusual to have deer, fox, and many other animals visit your yard. In particular, we've been treated to an incredible assortment of bird species, and we've become avid bird watchers after moving here. A number of residents in the area also have horses, something that not many this may not be immediately obvious because most of these horses tend to be behind the houses. I'm pleased to say that in my own backyard that I can go right to my back and there's several horses on view at any time, and it's not unusual to see people riding horseback down Ashfield on a quiet day. If you didn't know the area well, you might assume it's sparsely populated in the way the application is worded, but I want to say this is far from the truth. If you draw a circle 1 mile out from the subject site, you'll want to circle no less than 125 households. Mine is one of them, and I'd say that is hardly sparse. You can see that increased residential density is the plan and the way that newer neighborhoods have been laid out in this area, and I believe that this is going to continue. Looking at these lands around here now, many people are going to be sad that a lot of this agricultural land will eventually become residential space, but you know it's the plan, and I know from attending other meetings here that the RM is seeking to increase residential density. However, as I said before, this is usually in keeping with some type of a plan and in the character of the neighborhood. I'm not opposed to development, business, or even paintball overall. In fact, I played paintball a number of years back and I joined the group experience it provided. I understand the RM is trying to bring more recreation into St. Clements at the request of some residents and has had some success with this in the well-planned execution of St. Clements Activity Center and Park. However, I want to point out that that particular project required a lot of planning, public consultation, and execution, which will ultimately ensure success. I realize that it's much bigger than this particular project here, but this application, by contrast, is using the same mechanism as I would need to use to erect a chicken coop in my yard, only notifying other properties within 100 meters. And personally, I find that that's kind of unfair. It's ridiculous, really. In reality, some forms of recreation, including paintball, need more scrutiny than what this type of application can afford. It doesn't make sense to rush this kind of process and then rely on difficult to enforce bylaws to deal with potential issues later on. And I think most people would assume that you would need to go through a much more rigorous process when the land is not zoned for the particular proposal. I'm aware that the applicant submitted a similar proposal last year for a property on Highway 212, just south of 44. And I believe that property was 40 acres in size, including treed areas. I'm also aware that paintball, having played it, can come in different form factors. And on larger properties, like that one that have trees, you have trees to afford places for people to hide. And sometimes there's clearing and structures to play capture the flag, that type of thing. The most recent proposal, however, goes down to 16 acres, and it's bare, as you can see on the image up there. There's no trees, so there are other features for places to hide. For this, you're going to need man-made structures erected into the area. And you only need to look at the applicant's current business on the perimeter, because this is what the is there. There's APCO trailers, large concrete pieces, wooden spools, logs, other large objects are used to create obstacles and places to hide. And I don't need to go through everything else, but yes, there's buses and there's other vehicles there. And I believe what's going to happen is that all that stuff is going to end up moving to here. It makes sense. The applicant is going to try to get this up and running as soon as possible. They have to. They're going to want to get revenue going as quickly as possible. This is a quick way to do it. The applicant has also mentioned using things like shipping containers in their other materials that they put out, that type of thing. So I'm sorry, I don't believe that this is very conducive to a good aesthetic around the area. We've also heard that you're going to need netting, so currently these are on large telephone-sized poles that support the netting to try to keep paintballs, I assume, within the area. Now, I drive by the current establishment every weekday, and I've always thought it looked like a bit of an eyesore rather than somewhere exciting I'd like to visit. Besides the appearance of the play area, it had a run-down appearance for a long, long time. I know that they're trying to wind things down, but it's looked like that for a long time.
Okay, I'm going to, if you're almost done, I'll let you continue. You're past your 5-minute mark, or a little bit better than that, so.
Okay. I'm going to skip over a couple of the items that have been talked about already, and I'll get to the crux of my argument here. There was some mention made just very recently, not a lot of time to vet them on the environmental and sound aspects to that, so I'd like to address that specifically. I did take the time to read the environmental assessment. And in regard to paintball capsules, I'm fairly certain that I could probably eat one of these things and not get sick. I do believe that. But I think it's a different matter when you consider a long-term accumulation of any substance. It doesn't matter what it is, it's not natural. You can take coffee pods and throw them out there. 10 years later, you're going to find coffee pods out there. Doesn't mean that these things are going to totally disappear. They're just microscopic. I think issues in the environmental statement that was made that suggest that agricultural pursuits cause more concern than this venture would. You've already indicated that the area is very diverse. We have a lot of wild animals in there, despite this so-called agricultural action that is going in there. So I don't feel that the common act rate reflects what's going on here. They don't make much mention about the airsoft pellets. There's a very brief statement about it. They portray these as relatively benign, but there's even some suggestion in there that further study might be required about the use of these things. And some studies I've read indicates that there's negative effects associated with these, particularly the birds who can mistake them for berries of the same size. I also want to talk specifically about some of the materials that are used that have not been mentioned. One of them is smoke grenades.
Are you close to
I'm very close to being done. Okay, thank you, Mayor. Smoke grenades are not mentioned in the submission at all, but the applicant has advertised these on their existing operations on social media. And I looked up the specific manufacturer that's used on there. The manufacturer of these doesn't even recommend inhaling this smoke. If you're driving nearby, like what's going to happen with these things? And I just want to read a quick statement and then I'll wrap up here. The CM75, which is pictured on their particular social media post, is the largest and longest lasting high liquid smoke available globally, especially designed for commercial use. It's ideal for situations that require extensive coverage or when visibility from a long distance is essential. Common uses: firefighter, military, police training, aerial marking, long-range signaling, industrial testing. Nothing about paintball. It's a professional product, not available for general use or general consumers. Professional inquiries and military government tenders, welcome. Lasts for 160 seconds, outdoor use only, gloves, eye protection, don't inhale the smoke. And they even recommend, make sure that you don't obscure visibility of vehicles and pedestrians. 18 years and older is what's recommended for using. So I'm not going to go over a bunch of other material. I just simply asked you to look at what you were told at the previous meeting. I don't think anything's changed here other than we're distilling 40 acres down to 16. It's even more dense. We have the same objections from the public. I can't see what has changed here that made this any more applicable for the area than what you've already heard. Thank you very much for the chance to speak.
Thank you for your presentation. Okay, the next names I have on my list are Shirley and Harry Kowalczyk. Did you want to speak this evening?
No, you have my letter of consent.
Yes.
And I have nothing further to add.
Thank you for that, Harry. The next name I have is Larry Goritz. Larry Goritz?
Oh. I'm right across the road on 26, right behind the Esso station on 26010 Service Road.
That's the South Service Road, right, if you're from the gas station? Okay.
I farmed like the bonnet and my whole family, the daughters all left us, and when I went out in the field, and of course the wife felt lonely because she was at home alone all the time. So we went to Winnipeg and we seen a property for sale where we were, and we bought it. So then she was happy, now the kids are stopping in as they're flying past that corner going wherever shopping, whatever else they. But I farmed 900 acres in Arm like the Bonnet, St. Clements, Alexandra, and there's another one, Broken. And my machinery are big and they are massive. And I'm coming down the service road all the way from CL Road. That's the only way I got in or out. If there's 80 vehicles, 100 vehicles extra, and I'm patient, I wait for them to pass, and then I go back on the road, I move into the driveways, and I dodge them, because I don't want to pass them rolling, because I'm light enough, and I don't have to be racing at my age. I was mentioning to him, he's gonna total me. I'm locked. I'm landlocked. Because I can't cross to the church and go around and go out. I can go out the other way, but that's just as bad when I take that other road. There's too many vehicles for me to go with those big machines. Like, you know, I'm taking on a lot. Here I'm by myself. That's a service road, that's what it's meant for. And in a way, I feel for him. I really do. I can't, how many years do I got left? 5, 10 years kind of deal? More. But 20. It's kind of, it's me or him kind of deal. It's not. The only other concern is with the paint gun. And I know the one member here said that the church people didn't speak against this and that. I know they won't, because that's how there's a lot of churches out there that don't. But little Johnny, when he rolls down the window and he loads his gun, he gets his helmet all going, and he comes around the corner, and he said that church is not going to get popped.
Is there anything else you wanted to share with us?
I do wish him best. My daughters are 38 to 42. They love paintball. The grandkids all love paintball. I feel for him. I don't know what the answer is.
Not in our neighborhood.
Well, buy him some land out where the farm.
Okay, if you have nothing else, I'm going to move on.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next names I have on my list are Graham and Joyce Loudon. you could just give us your civic address for the record, please?
Okay, we're Graham and Joyce Loudon, and we live at 26033 PCH 44, and that's the highway right away, the Ashfield Road North. And to be specific, the green field on the right side of your map is our property. Up above there. Well, we are worried sick about this possibility of a paintball operation on the proposed property nearby. And we've written and submitted a letter outlining our concerns and hope you, our mayor and council, have read it and take it seriously. I will not read the letter in full now. However, I'd like to stress that we think the proposals from Paintball Paradise is not compatible with the general nature of the surrounding area, will generate significant levels of traffic congestion and noise, could negatively affect property values in the surrounding areas, and ultimately does not align with the Red River Planning District Development Plan policy. I would like you to consider what approval of this conditional use request would do to our municipality's character. Highway 59 is the main highway that runs through our municipality from south to north. Driving north past Birdshill Park, there are many well-kept houses on Heritage Drive facing the park. As you drive over the overpass on Highway 44, the landscape changes and you look down on small fields that become larger fields of corn, sunflowers, canolas, and other crops as you go north. This is the St. Clements we know and love, with our commercial properties located separately in our industrial park. This project cannot be approved. From the vantage point of the overpass, you would see a war zone with various obstacles and cover elements such as wooden barricades, tires, barrels, sandbags, derelict vehicles, inflatable bunkers, and more. Traffic will increase, but customers will not be coming to enjoy nature. People will no longer think of our municipality as the place to be. With these thoughts in mind, we ask that you do not approve the conditional use zoning request being considered today. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation, Mr. Loudon. Okay, the next name I have on my list is Lorraine Bateman.
My name is Lorraine Bateman. I'm at 73113 Ashfield Road North. I'm just north of the proposed site. I did send in a letter, but I was down by that. I just want to make sure, our biggest concern is the traffic. I've lived on that road for 30 years, and in summertime coming off, and they've only got 2 entrances and exits there, one on 59, one on 44. They are terrible in the summer. And like you said, most of your vehicles will have children in them. And we all know that we have drivers coming back from the lake in the summer that are in the best condition when they're driving. So my biggest concern is accidents and the traffic on that road. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Okay, the next name I have is Lorraine Bateman.
She just
Oh, sorry. You can come up again if you want. The next name I have is Henry and Connie Kolinchuk.
Well, I'm going to cut to the chase here. My name is Connie Kolinchuk. I live on Ashfield Road 73027. Madam Mayor and Council, I wish to address all the signatures and letters in support of relocation of Paintball Paradise to Ashfield Road North. We understand that paintball is a very popular activity and that you have gotten a tremendous amount of support from your followers. It must offer a wonderful experience to have so many people who find great enjoyment in such a sport. Obviously, there will be a few people from this community that share those views as well. In reality though, there can be 1,000 signatures and most of them will be totally irrelevant. Most of those signatures come from people who have absolutely no vested interest with our community. They love paintball, but they do not live here and nor will they travel these highways and back roads on a regular daily basis. They will not have to pick up the garbage left behind in the ditches or put up with all the noise and distraction. When they are done having their fun time, they go back to their regular home life. They forget all about all of us who are left living with all the negative issues already discussed at great length. They are not taxpayers here in St. Clements Municipality. At last year's January 24th, 23 council meeting addressing the Highway 44 PR 212 application, council did suggest there could be property available further north that would be more appropriate for this type of business. With all those signatures from people so much in favor of a paintball enterprise being set up in a rural community, it is a foregone conclusion that they will travel a few miles down the highway to a property that is in a more appropriate area, to a site that is secluded and where they can scream and shout and run around in masks and overalls and shoot all the paintballs they wish without intruding on the lives of people living right here in our present quiet residential community. Councillors, please keep in mind that the decision you make today is life-changing for the majority of constituents in this area. Thank you.
Thank you for that. And I do have a note here, Mr. Kolinchuk, that you have a USB that with some videos that you would like.
I'd like to address this first, please.
Okay.
Yeah, pass this over to me. Your Worship and council members, my name is Henry Kolinchuk and I'm a member of the Asheville Road Committee. I want to address a rumor that our committee left a petition in Sportsman's Esso store and were obtaining signatures from people as far away as Beausejour. This is not true. Individuals petitioned the neighborhood mainly staying within a 2-mile radius of the proposed paintball site. Every signature was witnessed. The few signatures from a few miles further away were from people who wanted to show their support for one reason or another. At least 95% of the 246 signatures are from people who live nearby. I just wanted to get that clear, please. Now the handout. The red poster was a poster that was posted at 3 sites. At Highway 44 on Kirklands Road, at Highway 59 on Kirklands Road, and at the lot by Sportsman's Esso. The pictures on the red poster were provided to me by Mr. Thompson in his first proposal 28th of February 2024. The signs were posted on a square tubing welded to a large disc. A cement block runs through the middle to hold it down so it will not be moved by the wind. On April 11th, the nasty white poster, the second page, was found taped to a newspaper dispensing box beside the red information poster at the Esso lot. My name was at the top of the list. I took this statement as a possible threat. I did report it to the police just in case there was some sort of retaliation. Just yesterday, that same red information sign was defaced with the statement, "This is a great outdoor activity for kids in the area. Keep them out of trouble." I wonder if the person who wrote this has checked into the cost of playing paintball. This is not like signing your kid up for soccer, paying a small fee, and they get to play all season. I can't imagine many kids or parents will have money to play paintball on a very regular basis. The sign at Kirklands Road and Highway 59 was knocked over regularly, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day, and thrown in the ditch. On Friday the 19th it was even broken. When I retrieved it out of the ditch, I found the last nasty sign. Are these posters indicative of the mentality of the paintball clientele or supporters? This type of behavior is totally out of character for our quiet, friendly neighborhood. This reaction is very disturbing to me and to all our residents. What can we expect next? Maybe.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, you do have the USB, you said, but
Yes.
if any of those posters are on the USB, I will not play it.
No,
No, they're not. That's why I handed them up.
Yep.
Scott, you want to grab that, please, or Taylor?
here's the schedule of what I'm supposed to keep. Yeah.
How long is your presentation on the?
Well, some of these areas I'll skip because it'll be covered. I'll skip. Could you please show the PowerPoint pictures 1, 2, 3, and 4, please?
Yeah, he's just having trouble. We sometimes have a little bit of issue with our technology here in the building, so.
It's not going to work. I have pictures I can hand out.
Just a minute. Yeah, your USB device is not being recognized.
I have pictures that we can hand out.
Okay. Here you go.
Okay, the first picture is the proposed site. The second picture is another aerial view of our acreage, looking west towards the proposed site. The third picture is my residence. And the fourth picture, self-explanatory. It's not something that I would like to have across my face. Never did I think that at 76 years of age I would have to defend my home from an onslaught of noise, huge volumes of traffic, and the scary thought of strangers in my front yard. I fear it will be party central every weekend instead of the beautiful quiet surroundings I enjoy in Auburn. I want to state that I'm not opposed to the playing of paintball. I do not dispute that Mr. Thompson runs a thriving business and has strong ties to his clientele. I am opposed to the location, not the business. There are other locations that the paintball facility would be better suited for. Industrial park, gravel pits, secluded areas with dense bush, and far away from residential property. The next point is paintball and airsoft range. The paintball gun range is 200 feet as stated by Mr. Thompson, January 24, 2023 RM meeting. Airsoft rifles for Red Wolf Airsoft website state that submachine guns maximum effective range is 120 to 150 feet. Electric airsoft submachine guns has a range of 150 to 200 feet. Now the east perimeter of the property is 30 feet from Asheville Road. The south side of the property is between 120 and 109 feet, 120 and 95 feet from the perimeter of the property to Highway 44 going west towards the turnoff to go to Highway 59. The range of the paintball gun and airsoft rifle is beyond the distances of Asheville Road North and Highway 44. There's a good possibility that errant paintballs or airsoft pellets hitting passing vehicles on either the highway or on Asheville Road North. In addition, the Department of Highways has plans to extend the service road that runs west past the skating rink and then north to Kirkness Road. That's on the east side of Highway 59. In other words, the service road past the skating rink will not turn north at Asheville Road, but rather go straight and run along the perimeter of the proposed site. This would make the shooting distance of the service road even closer. Next topic, distraction, distraction, distraction. There are three types of distraction. Visual, looking at something other than a road. Auditory, hearing something not related to driving. Cognitive, thinking about something other than driving. Driving anywhere in close proximity to the proposed paintball site would definitely be distracting to the drivers. Guns shooting, smoke bombs going off, and participants running around in fatigues with masks would be very distracting to drivers. There definitely is the possibility of having errant paintballs or pellets being directed at vehicles driving by. Next one, noise and decibels. The most common paintball gun for the rental market has a consistent decibel reading of 88. To put this in perspective, the decibel reading for factory machine gun 3 feet away, machinery is 3 feet away is 90 decibels per Red Wolf Airsoft website. The Airsoft rifle decibel range is anywhere between 84 and 94 decibels, compared to the sound of a chainsaw or a thunderclap. That's for Justice Pistol's loudest test website. In addition to the paintball and air gun noise, there are the yelling and screaming from players experiencing an adrenaline rush while playing. I want to state that I have searched many websites, and these videos are common to all. Likewise, I searched for decibel ratings for various guns. The ratings are available on site. Unfortunately, I wanted to play a video, but it's not going to work. I can play it off my phone, just to give you just 30 seconds.
That's about it. 30 seconds, we'll let you have.
Well, I have a very important note, that's all I have. Anyways, if I'm not allowed to do that, I do have some very important other issues that...
You can play it on your phone as long as it's not a real long...
30 seconds.
Okay. Oh, okay. I'm being told that if you want to submit it to the office, we can add it into the record. If you want to play it right now, go ahead, but please submit it and then it'll be...
I'll just play it.
Okay.
Obviously not going to work. Here we go. Maybe somebody could get it to work for me while I say the rest. Okay, so that's noise and decibels. Environment pollution. Although there's no mention of stadium lighting in the proposal, I can't imagine running a business at night with no lights. At Paintball Paradise present site, there are lights. There was proposed lighting for the Cook Street, the 212-44 proposal, so why wouldn't there be lights at the proposed location now? There could be night lighting until who knows when, because parties can be booked for extended hours. Alcohol and drugs. Alcohol may not be served at stag and stagette parties and group meetings. It is hard to believe that neither alcohol or drugs wouldn't be brought into the site. Remember, when there's a will, there's a way. The other topic is traffic. Traffic at the present location is capacity at the present location is posted at 200 plus. This location is 4 times the present size. Mr. Thompson's proposal makes no mention of maximum capacity for the 4459 site. At the January 24-23 meeting, Mr. Thompson said, I quote, in the past 10 years I hosted 100,000 unique customers and have built a reputation and a legacy I want to build on, which means more customers. His end game is obvious expansion would mean more traffic, more noise, more everything. Isn't Highway 44 and 59 busy enough, especially in the weekends? Conclusion. We're all waiting. Conclusion. Wouldn't a nice residential housing be more appropriate and definitely a better fit to our peaceful community? Even Lisa Liskey, a Royal LePage selling agent for this proposed site, states, maybe you would like to build your dream home here. She also states, possibility to split the property into 4 residential lots also exists. I have 3 notes. The pictures submitted on the website, RIM website, can you put them up, please? The ones that he submitted, Sean Thompson submitted?
Yes, we do have.
I'm going to ask you to try and
Yeah,
close it off because
Right,
you're way past your 5.
Wow, technical difficulties.
Exactly.
Okay, the picture with the buildings. The pictures don't support the building described in his proposal. He states that he's going to have two buildings, a 6,000-foot building now and an 18,000. Well, there's at least two buildings with a lean-to. The pictures of and the picture of the buildings is from a video called Call of Duty in Newtown. It's not even whatever. Number two, can you, those pictures that are there, could you scroll down to the top one, please? Okay, I want the council to please have a close look at that picture, the second picture, and the third picture. What do you see in common with them? What do you see in common with those three pictures?
You're gonna have to tell us.
Bush. Bush. There's bush surrounding each picture. There's bush at the back, there's bush over there, thick bush. This further reinforces that the paintball facility should be located in a secluded area with dense bush. You don't see any residential houses there, do you? Now this is my last point. Then I'm done. Just before noon today, I got a call from my neighbor, A&P Plumbing. I was told that he had received a call from Mr. Thompson requesting he sign a document stating that A&P Plumbing approved of his paintball paradise relocating next to him. A&P Plumbing refused, saying that they preferred to maintain neutral. At that point, Sean Thompson became angry, saying that the approval of the use condition was contingent on A&P Plumbing signing the document. So I respectfully request this.
Well, that is something that we won't consider because there is nobody that I know from that plumbing facility here, so.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Collins.
Now we can get that video to work.
It's the Wi-Fi. That's
Oh, it's the Wi-Fi.
Submit it to them.
I guess I'll submit it.
Yeah, if you submit it, we will make sure that it gets into the record. Okay, the next name I have on the list is Lori Trujan.
Good evening. My name is Lori Trujan. We live at 72115 Ashfield Road South. This evening I'm representing myself as well as my neighbor, as well as another person who's just recently purchased property in the area. Thank you, Mayor and Council. This letter, is from Sherry Manners and Ray Neufeld. 30 years ago, we moved to St. Clements to enjoy the peace and quiet of the country. We are half a mile from the proposed site. We enjoy riding our horses and bikes to our mailbox at the corner of the Esso gas station. Now I fear my horses and dogs and our family will be continually harassed by the noise and traffic that will ensue from the Paintball Paradise business. The noise will also have profound consequences for the wildlife coming from Birds Hill Park. Deer, dogs, horses all have better hearing than we do. Horses can hear and react to sounds up to 2.73 miles away. They even hear with their hooves, sensing vibrations in the ground. Over the 30 years, there has been an increase in new homes in the southeast corner of Highway 59 and 44. This has been translated to increased traffic down Ashfield Road South. This road is already used as a shortcut to the Esso and Highway number 44 to the lakes, to the east and north of us. Numerous quads, dirt bikes, and four-seaters, side-by-sides, race up and down the roads to gas up at the Esso at the corner. Paintball Paradise will only bring in more traffic to the area. The safety of residents should be top of concern, especially for those who are out walking and riding horses or bicycles. We helped to bring in a 60-kilometer speed limit for Ashfield Road South and the Neighborhood Watch. The land wanted for Paintball Paradise also shares access for many farmers, a church, an outdoor skating and hockey arena, trailer storage, plumbing businesses, and a park and ride. The safety and well-being of your constituents should come ahead of any business proposal that adds to the traffic and unnecessary and harmful noise. Please reference St. Clements bylaw number 6, 2012. In my opinion, the paramilitaristic atmosphere of paintball involves violence, plotting, and killing, and does not reflect the culture of this farming community, especially for children, animals, and the environment. The Canadian Bill of Rights, passed in 1960, guarantees many basic rights and freedoms, including the right of the individual to life, liberty, security of the person, and enjoyment of property, and the right not to be derived of any of these rights except in accordance with due process, meaning basic procedural fairness. We plead and ask you to not allow this proposal on these grounds. From Barry and Ren. They live at 72078 Ashfield Road South. As a footnote to that, they wish to add that they challenge the statement by Doug Weil, who is an occupational hygienist, and his noise study. He states that there should be particularly less overall traffic on weekends. This was probably true for last Saturday. But the writers of this want to tell you that it's a very different story once people head to cottage country. Weekend traffic increases and can be horrendous, literally bumper to bumper. They have lived there for over 30 years and can attest to that. This has already been confirmed by many in their letters of opposition. The second letter is from Caitlin and Jordan Jewett, stating, "My husband and I have just purchased our dream property at 0 McMurtry Road with a possession date of May 3rd. I have just become aware of this paintball proposal, and I'm aghast that St. Clements may be considering this. We have wanted to move to a country property and build our dream home since the beginning of our marriage. Now that dream is a reality, but is being tainted with the possibility of having a huge paintball complex mere minutes from our home. As a country-loving couple who wants to raise our children without the noise and commotion that a large facility would bring, I ask you, please do not allow this business to set up shop in this quiet community. We didn't purchase country property to have the city almost on our doorstep." And the final letter is from myself. "My husband and I own acreage on Ashfield Road South. We moved here just last summer in June of 2023 and absolutely have fallen in love with our new home in the area we live in. Our kids and grandkids love all the area has to offer. In fact, the letter that I just read previously is from my daughter. They're very excited about being neighbors next door to us. So our entire family are raving fans of the outdoors. We love riding our horses, plotting, walking, having bonfires, and entertaining in our beautiful, quiet, and peaceful backyard. And we feel very safe in this community. We moved actually from West St. Paul, where we raised our family for 30 years, because even though we were on acreage, our country property was starting to feel encroached upon. Where could we find a place that was still a reasonable commute to the city and allow us to enjoy our horses and have the feeling of country? We looked at property for over 2 years before we found our current home. A month or so ago, we became aware of Paintball Paradise's proposal for moving their business to the property on the northeast corner of 59 and 44. As you can imagine, I was quite troubled over this, largely because I had just left West St. Paul, and I believed the business might bring with it the very thing that I had just moved away from: busy streets, increased traffic, more people, and noise. I'd like to point out that I have no problem with the business itself. My children have on occasion played paintball, and I am not opposed to you. My concern lies with the proposed location of the business, and I'd like to share some of these concerns. Firstly, as stated by others, the obvious. Red River Planning has studied the proposal and states that because this business is not a related agricultural business and that the business proposal does not align with the development plan policy 4.2.8, it should simply not be allowed. That in and of itself should be enough to hold some weight and cause us all to pause on why a large commercial space shouldn't be developed on that corner. Furthermore, the proposal by Paradise Paintball is vague in some areas. For example, there's a mention of making the facility into a world-class venue. That doesn't sound very farm or family-friendly to me. The increase in traffic, as mentioned by others, for this world-class venue would cause vehicle traffic to increase on both Ashfield South and North, because inevitably, from 59 highway driving north, people from the city would see the sign from Ashfield Road and turn onto Ashfield Road South, as many of us have experienced. This residential road isn't designed for the volume of traffic. Paintball Paradise says that it can currently host up to 200 people. If they build on the proposed lots, they will have 4 times the space. Now, I can't imagine there would be 800 people there, but even if it's doubled to 400 people, that's a lot of people and a lot of traffic, which could translate to dangers for residences on Ashfield. It's a lot of traffic turning and entering uncontrolled intersections. Are we destined for traffic lights if this goes ahead? If the sport is to be played outside, which it will be because Paintball Paradise's cover letter states that they will have nets up to catch whatever flying objects are airborne, this must mean that eventually there will be stadium lighting. Those bright lights are not consistent with the farming and country environment that St. Clements is promoting. Not only that, but stadium lighting lengthens the amount of time the facility can be used. And because of that, it's very plausible that business operating times could extend far into the evening. Once again, is that the kind of municipality that St. Clements wants to be? It certainly isn't why I purchased property here just last summer. I know the argument can be made, my final paragraph, I know the argument can be made that there is already a commercial business adjacent to the prospected paintball site. This is true. However, A&P Plumbing has 5 employees and is barely noticeable to residents on Ashfield Road. It causes no increase in traffic, requires no additional infrastructure, and is as quiet as a residential home. Unfortunately, this can't be the same for the said business that we are considering. I understand from doing a bit of research that that the noise volume from the guns may vary, as there are louder and quieter guns. However, gun noise plus people noise plus vehicle noise seems like a place that isn't really fostering the kind of farming environment that many equate St. Clements with. As a horse and dog owner, I am very concerned that the volume will negatively affect the animals, specifically horses. Because horses hear sounds that people can't detect, they can become anxious, and when they're exposed to that continuous noise for long periods of time, they are agitated. Horses can spook and even bolt to escape what they feel is a threat. I would hate to have my horses crash through a fence from a perceived enemy. Our farm is probably the closest property with horses to the proposed paintball site, and I'm extremely concerned about what that potentially could mean. In conclusion, I thank you for this opportunity, and I'd encourage council to not accept the proposal being discussed this evening, as it doesn't fit with the culture that St. Clements has fostered and wants to be known for. There are other properties better suited for this business endeavor. Let's leave the family and farming community as it is, a place of peace and tranquility. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next name I have on my list here is May Fiddler.
Good evening, Mayor Kugelkorn and the members of the council. My name is May Fiddler Fast, and I live at 26019 Ashfield Road, north side of Highway 44. I've lived at this location all my life, with the exception of about 9 months when I was a younger lady, and for the past 19 years with my husband, Henry Fast Sr. And I'm speaking on behalf of both of us to express our opposition to the conditional use 62024 application by Paintball Paradise at the location known as 0 Ashfield Road. I've always known this Kirkness area as a farming district, some with larger farms and some as hobby farms. There have also been businesses established here over the years, all of which have been beneficial to the community in various ways. I myself have been in business in the Kirkens community for 37 years. 20 years as Cox's store, which I inherited from my parents, on the north side of Highway 44, and then in 1989 we opened on the south side of Highway 44 as Fiddler's Esso with my deceased husband. The gas bar and convenience store business has allowed me the pleasure of getting to know most of the residents living here both long time and newcomers, all of which have expressed their appreciation of being able to enjoy the peacefulness and also the close proximity to Winnipeg and Selkirk. We don't see paintball as being a beneficial business to recreation to this community. We feel that it promotes aggression and it could cause tension between neighbors. Highway 59 and 44 overpass is a landmark in the area. 59 is the gateway to St. Clements North, opening up to larger farms and to the very popular Grand Beach, Victoria Beach, Lester, and Hillside beaches. Highway 44 is the main hub out to the cottage country in Lac Bonnie and the Whiteshell. Is this paintball war zone the appearance that this municipality wants to present to the thousands of commuters who will be using this intersection? We hope not. We think it's a poor example of what this community stands for, being enjoyable and attractive place to be. Mr. Thompson has a petition of over 300 supporters for his operation. Where did they come from? Of course, it will be his faithful patrons, some of whom may be from the city and other distances, so naturally they will support his cause. We think this council should pay more attention to those who live closest and pay their taxes here. Also keep in mind that those of the closest proximity to the property are the very people who are the foundation of Kirkens. Despite what the good Branson boys and girls and many other young people in the Goodland subdivision and other areas may think, we are not against paintball paradise, but 59 and 44 overpass is not the appropriate place for such a recreation. Henry and I are well into our senior years and we wish to continue enjoying our retirement where we live without the stress and worry of how this may affect our lifestyle. And to avoid repetition, other concerns have been covered in the letter that I've sent to this council, and we wish to say that we concur with what other opposers have put forward this evening. So councillors, we are asking you to reject this conditional use application, keep this property zoned agricultural restricted with possible residential lots developed there. Thank you for your time and listening to my opposition.
Thank you very much, May. Okay, Daryl and Rebecca Ray. Thank you for that. Can you just repeat it though and speak a little louder so the video catches it?
Our letter that we sent in to the council in there basically mirrors what everybody else has the concerns on.
Okay, thank you for that. William and Randy Caselny.
I've got nothing to say. I'm just saying, I don't know how you got mine on there.
Pardon me?
I don't know how you got my name on there, but I don't want to speak.
Okay.
I can't speak it up in 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Okay, I have one person on my list that's on Zoom, and I'm not sure whether they are there or not, but I will get our administrator to check, and I believe that they are.
Is Carrie?
Carrie Clausen.
Carrie Clausen, can you hear me? If you can you unmute yourself? And let us know if you want to speak.
Hi there, this is Dallas and Kerry Clausen. We're along 72055 Kirkman Road. And, we just wanted to voice the fact that we support all of these concerns that have already been raised by all of the people there that have spoken. And we are being construction of Paintball Paradise on the subject of law that's been discussed.
Okay, was there anything else you wanted to add?
No, nothing else I wanted to add. I just kind of reiterate all the concerns that have already been brought up by all the people present.
Thank you very much for that. Is anybody here? You want to make sure?
Gary, is that you from the Arma St. Clements watching
Oh,
this?
that was my husband talking.
No, that's.
Oh, Gary.
Oh,
That's Gary.
that's
talking.
Carrie. Okay. Try Gary.
Gary, is that Gary from the Arma St. Clements?
Yes.
Okay, I'm assuming you're not talking.
No, observing on.
Thank you.
Okay, so I do not have any more names on my list, and I will now ask if there is anybody in the room here or out in the hallway that didn't sign or didn't call in and wishes to speak. Now would be your opportunity. Okay, it doesn't appear that anybody, Carolina, nobody in the hallway is putting up their hand. Okay, thank you. Okay, so if there is no one else that wishes to present this evening, I am going to give the applicant an opportunity to come back to the podium and address some of the concerns that have been raised by the people in the area.
Thank you, and thank you everyone for voicing your concerns tonight. I hope that I can address them to a standard that you'll appreciate. I've heard a lot of the same concerns from people tonight. You know, noise disturbance, traffic, keeping the area as it currently is. And I respect their wishes to keep the property unchanged. Realistically, long term, is that going to happen? I don't think so. It would be me and somebody else will come along at some point. The property is listed for sale. One of the things I wanted to, I guess, address directly was I've heard a lot of concerns about lighting. If you drive up and down Highway 59 at night now, many properties are currently very well lit. Not only does this deter theft, but it also you know, allows residents to keep an eye on their property from inside their homes. The traffic coming off of 59 along the overpass, the overpass is lit as well, also very bright. Many houses on Ashfield have large floodlights lighting up their property at night as well. I don't think that my lighting, if I was to put any up, would be anything more disturbing than that. Obviously, the idea of the behind stadium lighting on any paintball field would not be to illuminate the neighbor's yard, but to illuminate the paintball field. So they would be very directed. Some confusion, I think, about the pictures I posted there. Those images that I gave you are representative of the quality and standard that I believe and know that I can construct on this new site. The one being from a video game, he is partially right. That field is a legitimate paintball field called Paintball Explosion in Chicago. They did model their field after the video game. Go figure, it's a cool thing to play a shooting tag game on. Other than that, I think the information that we've presented is fairly self-explanatory, and I think refutes a lot of the claims that the citizens have. The noise study is comprehensive, is done by a professional, one who's testified in court and is licensed to do this. The environmental assessment, it comes from a registered microbiologist with the National Microbiology Laboratory, who also sits on the national government's emergency response team for microbiological disasters. I couldn't have gone to more qualified experts to try to get as an honest an appraisal on my use and impact as possible. And I really, really hope that people will take that into consideration. I feel with nothing to hide. I will answer any questions that you have. And I really hope that we can find a fit in this community, and I can prove to these citizens here today that I will be nothing but an upstanding neighbor. Consider it your property just as much as I am mine. So please invite council to any further questions they may have.
Okay, does council have any further questions for the applicant at this time? Okay, it doesn't look like it at this time. I guess at this point in time, I'm not sure whether council wishes to deal with this application or go over a lot of the information that we got, and some will be submitting some additional information. And I would ask the planner if he could just explain the situation and the process if council chooses to hold this open.
Of course, Madam Mayor, if council chooses to take some time to, well, I guess you have a couple of options. One is that you can close the public hearing and take some time to go over the material that's been submitted. No member of the audience or the public would be allowed to make any further submissions. It's just council taking that time to go over all the documentation that's been presented tonight or the days previous. Your other option is to keep the hearing open if you want to receive additional information. And the hearing would be continued at a later date to be determined by council, or you could state the date tonight. So, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm looking for. I guess the question that I would have, if council chooses to keep the hearing open, all the people that spoke tonight, would they have another opportunity, or would it be people that hadn't had the opportunity to speak tonight?
It would be people that either haven't had the opportunity to speak, or speaking to only new information that's brought forward. So would it be people allowed to come up and just reiterate what you've already heard tonight? If there was an additional piece of information that you were asking to come forward, people could speak to that.
Okay, and I guess the reason I asked that question is because, as we all know, some people are going to submit some of the information that they talked about tonight. So I just want to make sure that every resident has the opportunity to submit all the information that they would like to.
If you keep the hearing open, then I would say people could still submit.
Okay, and if we close the hearing tonight, those people that were here tonight could still submit the information that we spoke of tonight, or is that
I would
off
say
the
no.
table?
I would say once you close the hearing, then that's the end of it.
Okay, so what is the wish? We do have a lot of information that was given to us this evening, so what is the wish of members of council?
Digest it.
Pardon me?
Digest it.
Digest it,
And leave it open.
leave it open and digest the information that we've received.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that I would suspect is that any information that we do receive, if we leave it open, would be new information. It would not be any of the information that we heard this evening.
Correct.
So, just for
Yeah.
clarification, is it just the information that was presented here, but it also includes all the written documentation?
Correct. Anything that was presented here tonight beforehand or handed out.
Or handed out, or any material that was already on the agenda can't be repeated again?
That's correct.
Just want to make sure.
Go ahead, Councillor Horvis.
So, any new information that comes in, how do will we share that with everybody? Can we share that with everybody here? Or is that just for council, the new information that comes in?
Any new information is public.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is that if council does want to keep the hearing open and adjourn it to another meeting, maybe you choose what date you want to adjourn this to tonight. If it's the next month, then you state the date and time so everyone knows that. People can still submit new information between that time, either to our office or to your administrative office, and then I believe they'll just, anything new would then go on a future agenda. That's how you would get copies?
Yeah, just to be fair, to share it to both sides, as to, to Paintball's side and to the public side, just so they get the information from both ways. So that would all come out at the next hearing.
Yes.
Only the new information, though, as I understand
And
it.
who would present that new information?
I believe, maybe with the CEO to confirm, your agenda, I believe I saw had information that people submitted as PDFs attached.
Okay, so that would be just for the public to go in and find out for themselves, or for Paintball to find out for themselves. We wouldn't have to go through it here again at the new.
You wouldn't necessarily have to read them out.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, so now that we have some information, if we choose to keep it open, I know Councillor Bazarowicz has said keep it open and let's digest it. Do any of the other councillors have any information? And I will state right now, if we decide that we will keep it open, and correct me if I'm wrong, please, Mr. Planner, we have one member of council missing this evening, so he would not be able to participate in any of the discussion or decision at the next meeting if we so choose to hold it over?
That's correct. If only members of council that have been in attendance of the entirety of the public hearing can vote. On that note, ma'am, if you do choose to keep this open, I'd just like to remind the members of the public that it would be improper to approach council during that time because it is a public hearing. The time to speak to council about your thoughts on this matter was tonight at the public hearing, not outside the public hearing.
And the same goes for even prior to this public hearing. Once it was posted and advertised, there should have been no contact with members of council.
Correct.
Okay. And that's something that residents need to keep in mind because I do know that some residents did contact members of council after it was posted. So what is the wish around the table, please? I have from one, Councillor Horvis.
I'd like to keep it open.
Councillor Spicer.
Sure.
Okay,
Keep it open.
keep it open. Councillor Strang.
I'm ready, but I'll go with the rest of council on that.
Okay, so do you have some wording for a resolution?
Just to adjourn to May 14th meeting.
Which meeting? Would we be going to the end of the month meeting, Mr. Planner, or would we be selecting a particular date? Is there any time requirements?
It's completely, there's no time requirements on the act, it's completely up to council to choose the date and time. It can be your end of the month one, or your committee of the whole, or what have you.
Sooner the better for everyone, after the
It's up to council. Would you like it at the next council meeting, which is during the day?
Yeah.
So 9:30 in the morning?
Yeah.
Or would you like it on the following, at the end of the month, on the Tuesday, which is in the evening?
Well, I'm sort of thinking that probably better for the early meeting. I'm sure that there are some other planning applications that were held off tonight because we knew that this was going to be quite a contentious issue, so I'm not sure what our end of the month May looks like, so perhaps we should have it on the 14th.
Yeah, I'm not sure any other applications can be added to that meeting, Madam Mayor, because they would have needed to be advertised.
Right,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's only this one we're gonna deal
This will be the only one.
Yeah, no, I'm saying that the ones that were not able to be tonight will be at the end of May, so we could have quite a few, so if we do this one on the 14th.
Sure.
Yeah, so, okay.
Okay, so resolved, conditional use 6-2024 be adjourned till the council meeting on May 14th, 2024.
Okay, can I have-
Sorry, and the time? We have to say the time too.
We have to say the time too? What time would council wish to deal?
9:30. First thing in the morning, 9:30.
9:30?
Yeah.
Tonight?
Mayor is just checking
For delegates?
Absolutely, yeah.
She has delegations already for the.
So 11 o'clock.
Yeah, it'll be 11 o'clock.
So 11 a.m.
So, question? Will the public
We're
be?
getting a resolution drafted here or crafted here, so let us do that and then
Okay.
then you can ask your question.
So resolved, the public hearing for conditional use 6-2024 be adjourned till May 14th, 2024 at 11 a.m.
Can I have a mover, please? Councillor Bazarowicz, second, please. Councillor Sutherland. Any further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, I will call the question. All those in favor? Opposed? And that is carried. And now your question.
Will the public be able to attend that meeting?
All our meetings are open to the public.
Okay.
Public can attend the meeting as well as you can also observe the meeting on Zoom. So we'll have it available for Zoom that day.
And your
for
decision will be
individuals.
made at that time?
That's up to council. I can't speak for that. But what I'm saying is that the decision, if you're unable to speak, if there's nothing new to add, you can still observe the meeting on Zoom as opposed to have to come here all the way, is what I'm suggesting. And that's your choice. You offer it on Zoom as well as you can attend in person.
And if I remember correctly, what the planner said was only information that was not presented tonight would be accepted at the next meeting, only new information. So if anybody is thinking that you're going to come and do your same presentation again, that's not going to be allowed. Correct, Derek?
That's correct, only new information from the delegates.
Thank you.
So do we have to say anything about this resolution?
Correction. Oh, sorry. Just a correction on a resolution second by Councilor Sutherland.
Yeah.
Mrs. Frank.
Oh, no. This is, I was just using that as a
No, this,
way to refer what I was going to be saying.
Oh, it says, okay.
Yeah. Just a correction. Do we need to say anything about the advertising or anything, Derek, or just saying that it's adjourned is sufficient enough?
I'll do that right now because council has stated that this is going to continue on May the 14th at 11 a.m. There will be no additional notices going out.
Yeah, thank you.
So no letters are going out,
okay.
because we said it tonight.
Okay, before we have a few other things that council has to deal with this evening, so I'm going to call for a 5-minute break. If anybody wishes, I think the planner probably would like to go home because we do not have any other planning items this evening. And I think we moved it over to the next meeting. So we have a closed review.
I can't say no. Doesn't mean I have to say.